Over the last year or so, I've picked up games like Division 2, Wonderlands, and Borderlands 3, all of which I picked up well after the game's initial release. Now, what I hate is going into these games with zero knowledge and then spending hours searching through videos trying to figure out the actual strongest, most meta build to run. I just want somebody to tell me straight up what is the best. It made me realize when it comes to Destiny that I should make that video going over the best builds in the entire game for any new and returning players. I'm going to cover one for each class that is unarguably the best build to run right now. Also, if you guys do like this video, I'll remake it each and every season. Currently, we're in season 20, so just make sure to check for the date or any updated versions depending on the current season of Destiny, because the meta shifts a lot. Lastly, to make your lives even easier, each build that I mention in this video will have a full build video linked below, whether it's my own video or somebody else's in the community, so that you guys can figure out what to run by watching this video, then have a full step-by-step build guide to reference later. Hopping into the builds, the strongest build currently in Destiny 2 is the Starfire Protocol Warlock build, and overall, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10 in how strong it is in the current sandbox. But if you guys are watching this video in Season 20 when I post it, there have been leaks that this build will be getting pretty heavily nerfed. Starfire Protocol is an exotic chess piece for Warlocks. With this on, anytime your weapons are empowered, as you're dealing damage, you're going to be getting chunks of your grenade energy back. Weapons are empowered whenever you are in an Empowering Rift or a Well of Radiance, both of which Warlocks can drop down super often. The energy return that you're getting is going to be 20% of your entire grenade per tick of damage you deal with a 0.4 second cooldown. So you guys can generate a full grenade in just 2 seconds. Not to mention, you can get 2 fusion grenade charges with Starfire on as well. In the Solar subclass, things get even more broken, where Touch of Flame allows your grenades to explode twice, basically doubling the damage, and then Ember of Ashes introduces high Scorch stacks, which means 2 fusion grenades also end up combining to reach 100 Scorch stacks, which in layman's term just triggers an ignition, dealing more damage. And other fragments are also going to now allow your grenades to heal you and even offer healing over time through cure and restoration effects. With the right setup, you can also chain your super back to back, which offers the highest healing rate in the game, a 25% damage increase, and a 50% damage resistance. So overall, it's extremely broken, and I barely even scratched the surface of what this build is capable of. It also has some of the best ad clear, the best ability damage, uses one of the shortest base cooldown grenades, and only requires you to have Starfire Protocol and a weapon that shoots relatively quickly. Not even close to disputable, this is the best build in the entire game right now, and that stays true for general play, raids, dungeons, Grandmaster Nightfalls, you name it. Once again, if you guys do determine this is the build for you, check the links in the description below for a full build setup. Moving on to the second build on this list, and in my opinion, the strongest build on Hunter, we have the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, a volatile round setup, which basically takes any void weapon that you have and beefs it up to make it insane for single target damage and ad clear in endgame content. Overall, I would give this build a 9 out of 10, and you could probably argue slightly higher for how versatile the build is, how easy it is to use, and how essential this can be in a team setting. With Gyrfalcons on, anytime you exit from being invisible, you're going to get volatile rounds for 10 seconds. These are going to make any enemy you hit volatile, and then once volatile after an enemy takes enough damage, it's going to emit a burst, dealing extra damage to the enemy itself and everything else nearby. And with volatile rounds, you just keep applying this. When combined with the aspect in the Void subclass called Stylus Executioner, you gain invis whenever you kill an enemy with volatile rounds or any other Void effect, which means once you get the cycle going, you get infinite volatile rounds because you're infinitely going in and out of invis. This season, Gyrfalcons is a bit less useful because of the mod Volatile Flow, but that's going to go away in 3 weeks, and this will then return to being the best overall setup for Void Hunters. An additional benefit of the build is borderline invincibility. Picking up an Orb of Power or a Void Breach grants the Devour buff. With this, any kill we get extends the duration of the buff and grants full health and shields. Not to mention, these kills also give grenade energy, so we can spam our grenades. We also have access to invisibility from our dodge, finishers we earn, and once again, kills through Stylus Executioner. So we can use that to revive teammates or survive situations in extremely hard content. On top of this, our super, which has one of the lowest base cooldowns in the entire game, applies one of the largest debuffs, making this build pretty much essential for bosses in a team setting like raids and dungeons, and the super has 2 variants. Deadfall is going to be great for additional ad clear and grouping enemies up, where Quiver is great for some extra damage to bosses. As a recap, this build has some of the best ad clear in the entire game right now. It's one of the best support builds for your team with invis effects. You are practically invincible with Orbs of Power and Devour, and you have access to probably the second best super overall in the entire game. Also, I didn't mention this, but with a weapon with the perk Repulsor Brace, you're also able to get an overshield on each kill, which gives another 50% damage reduction. Ending things off over on Titan, I think the best overall build for endgame content right now is the Abeyant Leap Strand build. I would give this an 8 or 8.5 out of 10 overall. It does lack healing options in the subclass and might not be the best for ad clear, but in my opinion, this is the best build currently in the game for dealing with champions. When using Abeyant Leaps as your exotic, you're going to be casting out additional seeking projectiles whenever you place down your barricade, which in turn suspends enemies, and then by suspending them, you're able to completely immobilize and effectively stun all 3 champion types, which is pretty unheard of. And then with this, anytime you do suspend something, you get Woven Mail for 10 seconds, and Woven Mail is just a buff which gives you a 60% damage resistance to all sources. This build is going to synergize even further. By getting kills on suspending enemies, we're going to be getting larger chunks of our barricade back so we can spam it, and as we deal damage to anything, we regen our grenades like crazy. Not to mention, our grenades are also able to suspend enemies with this build, so we have an infinite cycle of just completely immobilizing enemies and maintaining that 60% damage resistance. In this gameplay, it's pretty easy to tell that I am highly underleveled for the activity I'm in, and it doesn't make a difference. Damage resistance in Destiny 2 is super overpowered, so 60% allows us to pretty much survive anything. Overall, the build does play a bit slower, and it is outclassed by some other builds, but when under power, when you need crowd control, this is the best option, hands down. For a bit of a faster playstyle, I will also have a Void Heart of Immos Light Titan build down below. I wanted to give Titans another build. Overall, I think this Strand setup is the best by far, but in a setting where you aren't getting one shot by everything, the Void build is just going to feel stronger and plays way quicker. If you guys are newer to Destiny, make sure to let me know which build looks the best to you and which one you're going for. And if you're a veteran player, let me know what other builds you might throw up on the list as a secondary option. If you're new to my channel, I have a Discord and stream a bunch over on my Twitch. Both are also linked down below. Anyways, let me know if this video helped you out in any way. As always, have a good one, guys. Peace.